this is quite simply the biggest fight this country's ever seen.
It's going to be huge.
There's 135,000 people on a waiting list.
Yeah.
You slap an egg on the top of his head. It's funny, the egg's gone everywhere, but on the face and in the eye, wow, it's just wrong. But what I will say is, there's no excuse to be walking around with 320 pounds.
Yeah,
You're a slob.
Back once again in March with the bomber Tony Bellew for your exclusive catch-up on all the boxing news and controversies, of which there have been plenty once again this weekend. Tony, you were out in Belfast.
Yeah.
It was a hugely dramatic night. Lewis Crocker was awarded the win after Paddy Donovan was disqualified by the referee Marcus McDonnell. I mean, where to start with this one? An intense match, lots of headbutts, so-called, but not really in your view, were they?
Listen, I thought there was coming together of heads. I thought both were to blame at times. I thought Paddy, a little bit more blame could have been placed on him, but he's the guy pushing Lewis Crocker back all the time. And Lewis Crocker is a fighter who comes forward non-stop. It's like fighting against a brick wall. You just can't get him to go back. So when you're pushing him, his body stays static and still. And when you're pushing against an immovable object, your body leans in. And as he was leaning in with the push, his head was coming together. But Crocker's also there with the head. So it's a coming together of both. And the crazy part about it is, Marcus McDonnell, the referee on the night, says neither of the cuts that Lewis Crocker received were from headbutts. He said they were from punches. So it just lets you know that, you know, what are you seeing? What are you doing? And then after that, I think we get into round 8 or 9, whichever round it was. It
was the 8th round,
the 8th round, and Paddy Donovan's on top. He drops Lewis Crocker, and then fair play to Crocker. He comes out fighting. He lets the right hand go. After getting up from that knockdown, he lets his hands go, lands a huge right hand on Paddy Donovan, but then he's hurt again. And the bell goes, and as the bell goes, without a shadow of a doubt, Paddy Donovan is in the midst of an exchange. And lands a punch after the bell. I'd say it's a second after the bell.
It's very close, isn't it? It's not like he's loaded it up
it's not,
the bell.
It's not like it's bell, take a beat, bang. It's not that. It's bell, beat, boom, and then it's hit. And he's throwing shots before that bell goes. And if anything, it's poor by the referee. And I'm sorry to say it, because I don't want to be calling out anyone on the job or calling out referees especially, but Marcus McDonnell was found wanting. He should have been in the midst of it when that exchange was taking place. All night, when it came to the end of the rounds, both of these fighters, it's a close fight, and it's a really hard fight. Both these fighters are unbeaten. They're trying to win the round. Every round means something in these kind of fights. You've got to get it over the line. And it just, do you want to have the last say? And to land the punch, a smidgen after the bell, and to be disqualified and thrown out. Yes, okay, people are going to say he'd had 2 warnings, he was headbutting. He weren't headbutting, let's be clear and honest. He wasn't directly, clearly headbutting.
No, he wasn't throwing the head in.
No, he wasn't throwing the head in. It's just a coming together, and both fighters are culpable, to be honest. I'll take it on the chin and say Paddy was a little bit more culpable than Crocker, but ultimately, the both of them are coming at it. When Marcus McDonnell makes that decision, for me, he's made it off the cuff. He's panicked.
If you're in Paddy's shoes, though, you know you've had 2 warnings. You need to be careful, don't you?
You do.
Treading a fine line.
You do, but it's not the head then that comes in. So he's on one final warning for the head, but getting into an exchange in the final punch of the round, he's trying to win the round.
Impress the judges at the end of the round.
All fighters want to win them last 10, 15, 20 seconds of the round. It's a big thing. And because he dropped Crocker, he knew he was on the verge again, and he was on the verge of stopping him. The right hook lands, and I just think, I feel for Paddy, and I really feel for Lewis Crocker as well. I'm not going to lie, I feel for him because he showed such bravery. People saying he was looking for a way out, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. So Lewis Crocker was a warrior. He stood there, he took it, and let me make no mistake, he was losing this fight. He was on the verge of being stopped. And I think Marcus McDonnell made a knee-jerk reaction to the punch off the bell. Why doesn't he just stop the boxing? Just stop the time. Because you have to look at it. If he gets hit with a low blow there, there's no way he's disqualifying him.
True. Good point. Yeah.
And then what he does is he gives you the 5 minutes to recover. And if you give someone 5 minutes to recover, you calm the whole thing down. Listen, we were having mini little riots in the stadium.
Yeah, it sounded pretty frenetic.
It was nuts. And this is just passionate fans. The Irish are some of the best fans in the world.
Yeah, love the Irish.
It's just people having a couple of drinks and getting a little bit ahead of themselves. But ultimately, Marcus McDonald lit the paper.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And he set it off, mate. And by just, it was a knee-jerk reaction. Look, he just threw him out. He just went, you're out, you're disqualified. And I was like...
He's an experienced ref, isn't he? Like, he's not out of his depth.
No,
you know,
he's been in big fights before, and I just think it was a knee-jerk reaction decision, and referees can never do that. They have to be able to slow the referees. It's a skilled art being a referee, and you've got to be able to slow things down in time, and then make the correct decision. And by Marcus McDonald saying, right, I'm giving you 5 minutes to recover from this, he says to Lewis Crocker, gives him let him go to his corner. Paddy Donovan goes to a neutral corner. He can't go in his corner and gain an advantage, but two of them, everything gets slowed down, everything gets looked at properly, and then in them 5 minutes, he might go to him, that was wrong, I'm disqualifying you, but he's got to give himself the time.
Yeah, give himself a time to assess it,
just to assess
analyse
the situation, analyse it. Maybe even look at go over and look at the screen. Maybe listen to it. I don't know, but
or VAR in boxing.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we don't want it.
But ultimately,
yeah,
I just think it was a knee-jerk reaction decision, and I think he got it wrong. And no one seems to be wanting to say it. Well, I will. I don't care.
No, fair point. Shoot from the hip, as you always do.
It is.
It's a shame we didn't get to see the last 4 rounds, really, because if we would have, I don't know what would have happened, but we'll never know.
I do
would
think
it have won the distance?
No, I think it was on. I think Lewis Crocker was on the verge of being stopped. As I was a mess, and Paddy Donovan had dropped him in that round as well.
True,
so it would have been two. He would have been dropped twice. But I say that I'm not disputing it was a punch after the bell. Was it a bad, like I've seen far worse. Let's all be brutally honest. I mean, we've seen, if anyone's seen my favourite fighter ever, Riddick Bowe, then he'll show you what a punch is after the bell. So there's so many fights. It happens. Now, if it was a couple of seconds after that and the action had stopped, I'd have said disqualify him, because that's disgusting. A bell going and a fighter being unprotected and unarmed, that's one thing. But a fighter in the midst of an exchange,
combination, like
and a combination, and he was already letting. It's not like he stopped then went bang and have it. He was in the midst of a combination. He was letting his hands go, and he was going for the stoppage. So I think Marcus McDonald's made the mistake, and hopefully he identifies it and accepts it, takes it on the chin, and it works for him as well.
Can learn from it as well. Yeah. Do you think we'll see a rematch now then coming up in the later on this year, or will they both go their separate ways?
I think it's tough because Paddy Donovan's going to want to run it back straight away.
Yeah, of course.
Is Lewis Crocker going to want to run it back straight away now that he's mandatory for the IBF title? He's got, he's got a really good path in front of him now. I don't see either facing Jaron Ennis. I don't see either facing Jaron Ennis, who's the IBF champion. But I just think, no. I think they should run it back. I'm just not sure both parties will want to. Yeah,
I think you're right there. Elsewhere this weekend, Gervonta Davis retained his WBA lightweight title with a controversial majority draw against Lamont Roach. I think Lamont Roach exceeded a lot of people's expectations in that fight, but the controversial moment came when Tank took the knee. Apparently his hair grease was stinging and burning his eye, couldn't see, took the knee. The ref didn't adjudge it as taking the knee, so therefore the judges didn't score it as such. 2 judges gave it as a draw, 1 to Tank. He maintains his unbeaten record, but at what cost to his reputation?
Another one of referees really messed up. And Steve Willis is a brilliant referee, by the way. I love him. He's one of my favourite referees. He's animated, he's in the fight, he's about it. Any close exchange, he's always there. I've seen that guy jump into punches to stop fights getting hit after the bell.
That's brave, to be fair, from the ref.
I've seen him do it many times. He's made a catastrophic error here. Lamont Roach is going to be absolutely heartbroken. Well, do you know what? I've watched a few interviews with it. I've seen the fight and I've seen the incident. Gervonta Davis takes a knee and it's a count all day. There's just no disputing it in no way, shape or form. It's a count. And I don't want to hear, I've got grease in the eye, that's a you problem, that's not a me problem. So Lamont Roach had every right to be crying out and saying, that's a count. And it is a count, because what are we going to be doing next when a fighter gets tired? He's going to go down, I've got grease in my eyes.
Yeah, well, that's
he's exhausted.
Opens the can of worms, doesn't it?
It's just, you can't do it. So I feel for the ref, because he obviously knows it's not a knockdown, and essentially it's not a knockdown.
Well, he kind of took a jab, didn't he? But it was.
He's took a couple of punches. I've seen it.
Yeah.
He's just a couple of shots he's taken. He has been punched,
but it's not as a result of the punch that he's got.
No, it's not. We all get it. It's not a result of the punch. Yeah. But what he's then got to do is he's got to stay on his feet. He's got to back up to his corner. He's got to tell the referee, I've got something in my eye.
Yeah, that's it. Communicate with the ref. Yeah.
Tell the referee, I've got something in my eye. Let me go to my corner. He can. The minute he takes the knee, it's a count, mate. I'm sorry, it is a count, because at no point in a fight can you show your opponent distress and expect him not to capitalise. Right. If he takes a step back, shows everyone he's not in distress, then says the referee, I've got something in my eye. The referee stopped. He says, stop, time in. And the referee takes his country clean out his eye. But that's where Tank's maybe he slipped.
Yeah.
And listen, Tank Davies is my favourite fighter to watch in the world right now.
We love him here, but it's not
amazing.
a good look, is it, at all? And Terence Crawford says, Roach has been robbed, called for the rematch.
Yeah. Well, I think with Bud, I know Bud as well.
I can't imagine him.
No, the thing with Bud is him and Tank have been going back and forth with each other for a while now, so that it's tit for tat with them two.
It is it's getting spicy.
It's funny, don't get me wrong, I do find it funny, but God help if them two bump into each other in a thing, because I see that coming to a head immediately.
Yeah, big time. Tank says Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson must fight each other so he can fight the winner. But Keyshawn Davis, he said he won't fight Stevenson because they got this brotherly pact.
Yeah, they have.
So they're refusing to fight, but where does that leave the division? It's kind of tricky, a bit of a stalemate.
I get it. They don't want to fight each other, and they shouldn't be forced to. There's enough people who are frenemies in the game to not want to fight each other. You very rarely get true, real, hostile enemies in boxing.
Yeah, we're going to come to a couple of
which
them
I've
later on.
had them, and I've had them where a fighter can't stand me, and then I've had some where I absolutely despise them. I mean, I've got fighters who I've fought who I don't even get along with now, like Nathan Cleverly. Yeah. But ultimately, what happens in the ring ends in the ring. I mean, shake hands usually, and it's job done. And you're right, that is how it should be. But I just feel with Shakur and the other kid, Keyshawn Davis, I just think the families are close. Why they don't need to fight each other?
No, that's true. They've got different options, I suppose. Lomachenko's in the division.
Of course, Gervonta Davis is going to want to throw.
Yeah,
that's his way of a grenade into a room. That's his way of avoiding it. But the both of them are world champions, so face both of them, one after the other.
Yeah, fair point.
Don't see why not. You want to be unified. Everyone wants to be unified champion, and I must admit, in today's game, it's getting easier to become a unified champion, purely down to the fact of these managers, promoters, advisors, they're all being brought together because of His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And he's making it easier to make unification fights. I said we've seen more unification fights in the last 5 years than we have in the last 5 decades.
Yeah, good point. Well, that's why boxing is in such a good place at the moment. But maybe the lightweight division is one that's going to be a bit of a sticking point, because Gervonta Davis doesn't fancy going out. Wait, it's him versus Turkey, isn't it? They've been going back and forth as well.
Yeah, I've seen some of the comments he makes, but he has to understand that Turki Al Sheikh is the best thing that's happened to boxing.
In boxing fans are
in some years. Since Harold Smith, no one has challenged the hierarchy of boxing. The hierarchy of boxing has always been Don King, Bob Arum. Now, in this country, it's Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren.
It's been that way for a while.
And no one's been able to bring these together. No one's been able to challenge them. In America right now, you've got Bob King still... Bob King. You still got Don King, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya.
Both in their 90s, by the way, Don King and Bob Arum.
They're all going at it, but ultimately the hierarchy of boxing has been brought together. Doesn't matter where they're going, where they're from. The only ones who haven't got on the ship yet is PBC.
Yeah, it's true.
And but PBC aren't putting on enough shows for the fighters. Their fighters are the most Now, PBC have some of the best fighters in the world, I don't dispute that. And Al Heyman is an amazing businessman who gives fighters amazing opportunities, but let's be brutally honest here, he's not giving them enough opportunities. No. There's not enough dates to fight.
Must be very frustrating.
Gervonta Davis has to be fighting 3 times a year minimum. No, he's just said that he wants to fight again. He's got a name he wants to call out. He didn't tell us the name.
He's keeping it under wraps.
I'm not sure I'm keeping it under wraps, but he then went on to say, well, I'm not going to get that fight this year. Mate, you were in February when you fought. How are you not getting 3 more fights in this year?
Yeah, well, at least 1 or 2
more fights.
Yeah, 3 might be pushing it, but
3 might be pushing it, but 2 more fights. Listen, he should be fighting from if he finishes now, he should be fighting in May or June.
Yeah,
There's just no, May, June, July, any of them months, and then you want a good winter December fight.
Yeah.
There's no problem.
It's so frustrating as a boxing fan when you see fighters only fight once a year. We want to see
ridiculous.
It more often.
Ridiculous.
If you speak about a very active fighter from your hometown, Nick Ball, back in action March 15th against TJ Doheny.
Yeah.
Who I think he fought Naoya Inoue last, didn't he?
Yes.
Which I think is he jumping up from super bantamweight for this one?
He is coming up to
but respect to Nick Ball, one of the most active world champions in boxing,
fighter.
and always puts on such a great show, doesn't he?
Nick Ball gives such value for money.
Incredible, yeah.
The boy just gets in the ring and he fights non-stop, aggression. I'd go as far as to say I think Nick Ball is the fittest fighter in the country.
Yeah, it's just like a dynamo.
He's relentless.
Never
He's relentless. He's literally, he's the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, great description.
He is all over you. He is not letting you off the hook.
No.
He fights fire with fire.
Yeah.
He's a fan's favourite.
Yeah, great.
I think as a watch for pure excitement, I'd go as far as saying he's the most exciting fighter in this country.
That's a fair point. I think good shout. Yeah.
I can't see past my.
No one wants to ever miss a Nick Ball fight because you're getting action from the first bell to the last.
And you just want now what you want is you want to match him with really good boxers. So we've seen with Ray Ford that the fight that was
Ray Vargas.
It was Ray Vargas fight and then he fights.
Who did he? Yeah, it was
Ray Ford.
Yeah, that's right.
He had to be for the world title.
Yeah, correct.
So you've seen in them two fights with the Vargas and the Ford fights. Even in a loss with one of them, it's still an unbelievable fight. And then a win that can go either way. Against boxers, he's unbelievably good. And that should be his real weakness. That should be his kryptonite facing boxers. Because he's so committed and because he's so good at what he does, he makes them fight. They all end up fighting his fight, and the fight is just, it's fireworks from the get-go. So I love watching him, and I can't wait to see him back.
Do you think we'll ever see the rematch with Ray Vargas? He hasn't fought since then. I think he's just No, he's been.
I don't blame him. He took that many.
That's a fair point, isn't it? Maybe he's
have to look at it.
Rethinking his life choices.
You think he wins that night as well? I think Vargas got the decision over him. He beat.
It was a draw, wasn't it?
Was it a draw?
Draw, yeah. But he kept his belt.
His belt.
Yeah.
It's one of them where inactivity is going to do him the world of damage.
Yeah, you think he's Mexican, from the Mexican pride perspective, he should run it back.
That's not going to be good for them.
No,
that's not going to be. I'm not sure who Vargas is with. He might be with De La Hoya.
Have I got it down here? You could well be. It would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think.
But as I say, I don't know where they need to run that back. And I'm not listening. The problem will never be with Nick Ball.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you fight anyone, anytime,
any place, anywhere.
Let's talk. You mentioned earlier about fighters who genuinely hate each other. Do you think Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. genuinely hate each other?
I don't think I know.
You know for a fact?
I've seen it.
I think it's hard to dispute, isn't it? Really, they definitely look like they do.
I don't think hatred is too strong of a word. I think the hatred goes one way, and I understand why Conor would hate Chris because of what the things that were done in the background to Conor.
Yeah, but it's the same as their fathers. Remember the famous interview? I genuinely, personally do hate him.
Yeah,
that's what
Nigel Benn said to Chris Eubank Senior. But I think with Chris, this is purely business. This is purely business. I don't think he quite likes him very much.
No.
But I'm telling you now, it's a good thing that Conor's in Spain. Because imagine them two bumping into each other on a London high street on a Sunday afternoon.
We don't need that, do we?
No one needs that, no one wants it, but it's inevitable. So you literally have to navigate your way through these camps and keep these two boys away from each other, because
keep the lid on.
I've been there with this kind of animosity, and I've been there with this kind of domestic rivalry. It eats away at you. It's not nice.
No.
It literally eats away at you. It's on your mind daily. And you just... It gets to it's an intense build-up. Like I say, I've been there with David Hay fights, with Nathan Cleverly fights, with Oval McKenzie rematches.
Lived it, breathed it.
Isaac Chilemba rematches. All them fights I've named, I've got into heated rivalries. 2 of them with domestic ones. Well, 3 of them really. Oval McKenzie was based over here. Nathan Cleverly, that was real nasty, because I wanted to hate him. I didn't like him. I still don't like him.
No.
With David Hay, for me, it was business, but I'd got to him that much. As David said,
you got under his skin big time.
He really wanted to, leave me. He wants to really hurt me, and he says that to everyone who listen. Is for that first fight, he got to me really bad, and it's just one of them things. I'm pretty good at that, to be fair.
Yeah. Just the maestro when it comes down to it.
Play your cards.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think Chris Eubank crossed the line with the egg slap? Do you think that's all fair in
he did.
promo? Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd have said no if he slaps the egg on top of his head.
Right.
But to slap in the face towards the eye.
In the ear as well.
People have to realise that I've got 2 scratched eyeballs, and the eyeball's the part of the body, it never heals. Yeah. So the best way to explain it is it would be like varnishing a door. And the varnish comes off, and then you've got to re-put the varnish back on.
Yeah, nasty.
The liquid on the eye comes off in the cornea, it gets damaged, and I say I've got 2 scratched eyeballs. One was in a fight, and the other one was pissing around in a swimming pool many years before. But I can't explain it, guys. The pain is unbelievable. If he'd have got eggshell in that eye,
jeopardises the whole fight.
It could have jeopardised the whole fight and his eyesight, because people can say, "Oh, lad, it's an egg," but it's just. It's the little stupid things like that could have cost you the fight. Smashing an egg on top of his head, even though Conor's been mate, I think it's a statue of it would have been funny.
It would have been, yeah.
You know, or throwing an egg at him.
I don't think Conor would have found it funny.
No, Conor's not going to mind.
He was
but you've got. I'm trying to look at it from a neutral, unbiased perspective and situation. You slap an egg on the top of his head. It's funny. The egg's gone everywhere, but on the face and in the eye, wow, it's just wrong. But I think this fight's just gone took another toll.
It's absolutely grabbed the public interest now to another level, isn't it?
This is quite simply the biggest fight this country's ever seen.
It's going to be huge.
There's 135,000 people on a waiting list.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn's tweeted that.
It only holds 75 to 80,000.
Yeah, maybe they're going to have to upgrade it to Wembley. Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
Huge numbers.
It'll keep growing and growing and growing. I'm looking forward to it on the night.
Still 2.5 months to go as well, isn't
there? There is, and I just hope they can put their minds at ease now.
Yeah, go back to the
focus on camp.
Yeah.
And just let's get through this and get to fight week. No animosity, no drama.
Ben Shalom, do you think he knew what what Chris Eubank Jr. was going to do? Because he denied it, didn't he? He said he didn't even know what he was going to say, let alone slap him with the egg. But Eddie Hearn's convinced
I don't really know Ben, but I would like to think he didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Thinking of Chris, no, I don't think he did. I think
he kept it
purely
to himself.
Because that kid doesn't trust a single soul. I know that for a fact. Chris Eubank Jr. does not trust a soul. No. The last person he's going to tell is a promoter who's very, very likely to open his trap.
Good point. Yeah. Good point.
So, you know, he doesn't tell the soul anything, to be fair. The kid is pretty private.
One man army at this point, isn't he? Did you see Eddie Hearn trying to force Ben Shalom into £1 million bet on the outcome of the fight?
I don't think Eddie wants to do £1 million bet. I think they'd agrees to 100 grand, and then Derek's forcing them.
Oh, right, yeah. It was Derek was there, wasn't he? Stirring it.
So Dell's trying to force it on. And listen, when it comes to wealth and money, there's very few that can get anywhere near Matchroom and Eddie Hearn.
Good point. Very good point.
So I think Ben Shalom seen his backside a little bit there. But listen, I wouldn't bet £1 million whether I was a billionaire or not.
No, it's not wise. Not wise moves.
Not for me.
Did you see Conor Benn on the pitch at Wembley running up to Ben Shalom, making him do the little?
Do you know what the funniest part was? Eddie switched as much as Ben Shalom did,
didn't he?
I think the two of them switched because they didn't expect it.
Both skating on thin ice as far as Conor Benn's concerned.
Conor's a lively kid, and he's a lovely, lovely boy. I've known him a long time, and he's a lovely, lovely kid.
He's quite emotional, isn't he? His emotions do run high.
Yes, he's emotionally charged, to say the least. And when you fight with that emotion, it can be draining. It can also galvanise you. Excuse me. No problem. It can also galvanise you and push you at times, but it can also drain you. Like, I went into the Nathan Cleverly rematch, and I worked so hard in that camp. Like, everything went right in camp, everything was good, I sparred brilliant, the camp finished really well. I had no severe injuries, I had a couple of minor niggles, but no severe injury. And when when I was walking to the ring, he walked first, I walked second. When the fire went off behind me in the ring, I felt exhausted.
I suppose, like you say, the emotional takes a toll.
I was emotionally invested in the fight.
Yeah.
And literally, I fought that fight like an exhausted man who was just trying to win. I won it, I'd done enough all day. I won the fight clearly. I just got on his chest and worked. But I didn't show it, and it was because I was emotionally invested in the fight. The performance was dire for me. It wasn't great, but like I said, I just made the fight rough, up close and personal, and just outmanned him.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
For Conor, mate, that could, if he feels any kind of exhaustion, the last thing you want to do is be in the ring with a bigger man. I think this fight's a fight for over 12 rounds. It's a case of it's 2 fights in one. First 6, I think Conor's going to be so ferocious, so brutal, so vicious. I think he gets the job done then.
That's what he'll
But
have
I will
to do,
tell you what, if you have not got the job done by round 6, that's when weight divisions exist for a reason. That's when weight classes exist for a reason.
Very good.
I actually think Conor is a far better fighter than Chris Eubank Jr. is a boxer.
Technically, yeah.
And that's the problem that Chris Eubank Jr. is having. He's got this thing in his mind. He's a masterful boxer. No, you're not.
No.
I'm sorry, no, you're not.
Well, we've seen different sides to him over the years, but none of them really have shown the technical level of superiority that, say, a Canelo or
Chris Eubank Jr. is actually a really good fighter.
He used to street fight, didn't he, back in the day?
He gets up close and he has a really good scrap and he gets stuck in, and I couldn't praise him any more highly than that. He fights well up close. I've seen him sparring with the likes of Carl Froch. He gets stuck in really well. Yeah. But when it comes to mixing with people, you know, and boxing with people thinking you're a master boxer, no.
Yeah. Well, George Groves schooled him, to be fair, didn't he? So
he's been schooled many times by Billy Joel, by George Groves. He's been absolutely schooled. So, and they're master boxers as well. Yeah. So he's got to get back to having a scrap. I mean, you're not Roy Jones Jr. and you're never going to be Roy Jones Jr.
Even if you have him train you, it's not going to.
Just, you know, he's the greatest fighter ever.
Brilliant fighter, absolutely. Turkey Al Sheikh said the winner of Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn will face Canelo Alvarez. Apparently, what a carrot that is to dangle in front of them. Not that they need it really at this point, but can you see either of them really troubling Canelo?
I think it's insane.
Yeah. Well, now he signed the 4-fight deal with
I think for the spectacle, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just going to be one-way traffic to an extent, maybe.
The reality of that would be the easiest night of Canelo's life.
I think you're probably right there.
This guy's a former light heavyweight champion of the world.
There's a difference in the weights there.
Knocked out Sergei Kovalev.
Yeah.
Mate, I can't. Even he might be at the end. Well, he is at the end, Canelo, but
still got plenty in the tank.
Please.
Do you have a quick word about the last crescendo? Because that wasn't. It just seems like it was longer than a week ago, but it really was only a week ago.
It was amazing.
It was amazing, wasn't it? It lived up to the hype.
It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, great stuff.
What them two fighters went through. I think I picked Dimitri Bivol with you guys before it.
You did, yes. Yeah.
I thought he'd win. I just think time is not on Artur Beterbeyev's side anymore.
40 years old now, yeah.
And I just think, you know, he's still amazing. And I still think he defeats every other light heavyweight in the world, bar...
These two are just...
Bar Bivol. It's exceptional. The tactical nous of Dimitri Bivol, I can't put to you guys. We've all got great boxing IQs at this level. At the World Championship level, we've all got really good boxing IQs, and most of us can adapt and adjust. But to do the things that Dimitri Bivol was doing, mate, he was catching right hands with his lead hand and countering with his right hand. So he jabbed. He's planned it. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. So he jabs Beterbiev, and he gets Beterbiev to. He throws like a lazy jab. So it comes out slow. It hits Beterbiev. He's not hardest to hit, obviously. But then on its way back, Beterbiev has seen it, and he's took it, but he's let his right hand go. He catches his right hand with the hand coming back.
Yeah.
And he's caught the right hand and does this to block it, and then goes bang and hits him with the right hand. So it's bang, catch, bang, bang, catch, bang. Now that doesn't sound hard, but believe you me,
at the speed he's doing it,
at the speed and at the level, and understand, take this into consideration, you're catching probably the biggest punches pound for pound in boxing right now. You're catching his right hand on your hand.
And you misjudge that, and it's
you misjudge that, you're asleep.
Yeah, well, that's it.
And that's the kind of level these boys are at, and I can't explain to people enough just how good Dimitri Bivol is. He's exceptional, and I wasn't always his biggest fan. I think there's been times in fights like with the likes of Craig Richards, at fights in Monaco, I've seen him a couple of times, where he's just underperformed, and I think he's got this thing where he fights to the opponent's level. Because we've seen when he went in with Canelo, he just schooled Canelo.
Yeah, absolutely.
He absolutely schooled him, and then he didn't school out Bellew, but of the 2 fights, believe you me, I thought he won the first, but he didn't get the decision. But I thought it was so close. I didn't complain. Bellew got it. I'm like, okay, I can see a reason why he got it.
Yeah.
But the second fight, there was no disputing.
Yeah, I think
it was clear as day. It was crystal clear. And he won the second fight far more clear than Bellew won the first fight.
I agree with you there. Yeah.
I think a third fight is only going to go the same way.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you think by the time that third, maybe Bivol drags it out, maybe he goes and fights Benavidez instead or something?
That's the fight.
Yeah, that's the one we want to see next.
I mean, I thought Callum Smith against Joshua Buatsi was
great.
Unbelievable. I was going to
say, that could have been fight of the night.
People saying Callum Smith's washed up. I told him the boy doesn't need to be in a ring. That tells you he's not washed up.
Yeah.
Because when you're financially secure and you carry on fighting, it tells you an awful lot about the fight. I know I've been there. And when you're doing that, it
takes an extra level of drive, determination, and motivation.
Once I'd beaten Hay twice, that's it. Then life's fine.
Yeah.
For the family, life is financially secure for us. We're all fine. And to get back to training camp and do it now, I've done 2 training camps after the Hay fight, and I just think, wow. And it takes something different in your mindset this time.
Yeah. Got to dig deeper and kind of emotionally and mentally as well as physically.
You then realise you're not actually in boxing for the money anymore.
For the love.
You're in boxing because you love fighting.
Yeah.
That's when you've won a world title, you've achieved your lifelong goal and dream, which I've done. I've been British, Commonwealth, European and world champion. Once I'd done that, it was about money. Once I'd achieved the money, I was like, why am I still doing this? I remember being in the Holiday Inn Express, me and my iPad, freezing cold, and just thinking, it was about 12:30 on a Tuesday when Thursday night. I was in a good few weeks into camp, getting ready for Usyk, and I thought, what am I doing here?
Why am I doing this now?
What am I still doing this for? And I thought, it'd be a dream to be undisputed unified champion when I fought him for all the belts, but I thought, do I really need this?
Those moments
I've won the one belt that I dreamed of as a kid, the green and gold. I've won it. I've won it. I've had my dream location, my dream scenario.
Of course.
I just thought, the next day I went to the gym. I was sparring with someone. It might actually been, who was it? I had a kid over, an American kid. He was really good. And I gave him a good pounding. And when I was driving away home on the Friday afternoon, I thought to myself, I really just do love fighting.
And also testing yourself against the best.
Yeah,
and now you can sit here and say you were there in the ring against Alexander Usyk.
But ultimately, it's when your head goes on the pillow at night.
Yeah, those moments.
You have to question that. And when you've got the money, when you've got the belts, and you've won the things that when you've achieved everything you set out to do, that's when you go to yourself, why am I still doing this? And it's because you just love fighting.
Just born
and
a
that's
fighter.
Where Callum Smith is at.
Yeah, fair play to
Man's
Callum
brothers
Smith.
are the same.
Yeah, excellent, amazing stuff. Martin Bakole, the king of sparring. Maybe that was the problem for him. It was actually in a
wasn't
ring.
A spar.
It wasn't a spar. Yeah, that's where it went wrong.
The head guards came off and the 20-ounce gloves come off. And he found out that he's normal, just like everyone else.
That's it. I mean, he said he hadn't had a spar since August. So
Jesus Christ!
He wasn't in.
Don't go in there and then tell us why you've lost after. Exactly. Tell us before.
Yeah, but fair play. Saved the day.
I give him all the credit in the world. I take my hat off to Martin Bakole because he didn't have to do that.
No.
He was ready to face F.A. Jagba.
Yeah.
And it was all done. But what I will say is, there's no excuse to be walking around at 320 pounds.
Yeah,
you're a slob.
Right.
You are a professional athlete. You're being paid to be a professional athlete. Live the life, mate.
Yeah.
I hope he learns a lesson from that.
Fair
because
point.
Martin Bakole is a really good fighter. He's a problem for the heavyweight division. But what he's just done is, he's basically just bowed to a few quid.
Yeah,
because no one's going to want to face him now again. Because he's a problem. He is a real problem. You don't want to face him, but now no one's going to want to face him. And you know what? He's in the Who Needs You club. Yeah. Whereas after a few wins, the win over Jared Anderson in America, it looked really good for him. But now, this one happens when fighters don't stay in shape. Compare Josh Padley compared to Martin Bakole.
Great fight.
Similar notice.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, he was ready to go, Josh Padley, wasn't he? He took it to the 9th round.
And let's all be honest, he had to make weight as well.
Yeah, that's true. Martin Bakole didn't have to. Just
let you know that's the difference between a professional athlete and by the way, Josh Padley's got a full-time job. Well, had a full-time job. Still got on a plane. Still ready to fight. I give that lad so much credit.
credit to him, big credit, huge credit.
And he went in with one of the best pound-pound fights in the world.
Yeah.
Because Shaq's right up there. And I say he went in, albeit Joseph Parker, yes, but just be in shape. Don't turn up like the Marshmallow Man.
It's disrespectful to the sport.
It's ridiculous, mate. Ridiculous.
Hamza Shiraz kind of got a bit fortunate, didn't he? Really got away with one there.
I think, yeah, I don't think he won, but ultimately, I just think he's got to focus on boxing.
Yeah,
I think he's a really good fighter. I don't want to see him struggling to make weight.
No.
Because he has all the ability. Hamza Shiraz will be a world champion.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he took the hardest belt to fight for.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So Hamza Shiraz will become world champion. I just think a big part of it now for him is managing his team, his camp, because his camp is growing. His team is growing. He's got a huge camp. Yeah. To which, from me looking from the outside in, 40% of that's not needed.
Right, trim it down.
Go back to basics. Know what you're good at, know what needs to be done. Camp for someone like Hamza Shiraz, who's a contender, shouldn't be a big deal.
No.
It shouldn't be hard. When I was a contender and when I was a champion, my camp was the same size.
Just kept it the same all the way through.
Keep it small, keep it what needs to. Everyone's got a job, they know what they needs doing. But ultimately, make no mistake, it's about you. You're the one who gets in the ring.
Once the bell goes.
You're the one who takes the punches and you're the one who takes the risks. He's got to put himself first in camp.
Yeah. He's an international ambassador for Riyadh season, Hamza Shiraz. I don't know if that's any of a distraction. But also the fact that we saw...
And he's a good one too.
He is, great, yeah.
I think he's a brilliant...
They obviously want him to do well, don't they? And do you think...
Yeah, they do want
We saw Turkey at ringside telling him, you know,
yeah, but that's
you're behind
because
the cards.
you've got to understand Turkey is behind all of what's going on with Riyadh season. Turkey is at the forefront of the ring and he's fully invested in his fighter. Yeah. So Turkey basically is a promoter.
True.
And he's urging for his man to win. There is nothing wrong with it. It's like saying Eddie's on a matchroom show and you know, when AJ's fighting, it's a matchroom show and he wants AJ to win against his opponents. Yeah. He's jumping around when AJ knocked out Otto Holland.
He's not neutral, we know that. We know
should be no disrespect to say, His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh, is entitled to support whoever he wants to support. Yeah. Do you believe when Canelo has this next fight, he's not going to be cheering for Canelo to win?
No, of course not.
He's paying Canelo hundreds of millions of pounds, and he's paying him hundreds of millions because he wants to see the biggest fight and the best fight, so he wins. So it's insane, mate. Sense. It really is, and he's every right to it. As for Hamza, he'll be back. I think he's a really good fighter.
It's early days.
He just needs... I think he needs a leader with him in the team. I think he needs someone to speak to him and a leader amongst the team, because at the moment I feel he's doing too much himself.
Right.
That's from the outside.
Putting your name forward, Tony?
No, definitely not.
Fair enough.
I just think the kid needs a little bit more experience and guidance around him. I think he's got a really good team, as in advisors, as in managers. He's got one of the best managers in the game, Spencer Brown.
Yeah, true.
But you have to allow Spencer to manage. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing. These fighters want to micromanage. Just focus on you, focus on fighting.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right, last chapter here. Women's boxing, Natasha Jonas and it's the all-women's Price. Yeah, all-women's card, Lauren Price, Natasha Jonas. Exciting fight. But which way do you see
really
it
hard fight for our Tash.
Tough one,
yeah. She's
so much experience, but Lauren Price is hungry and young and fast.
I didn't like the fight when first made, but I'll always back Tash. From the outside looking in, Ben Shalom's looking out for his assets, and he's looking for a passing of the guard fight, a passing of the baton.
Yes,
that's what it looks like on paper, and that's what he's made this fight for.
See,
for someone like Natasha Jonas, she's earned the stripes. She's a multiple weight world champion.
100%.
She's a unified champion.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like it's a similar situation now to what Canelo found himself in with Benavidez. So the only difference is there wasn't an amount of money that could say fuck you money. It's like John Jones and Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
It's these kind of situations and scenarios you get yourself in where they go, right,
is it worth
John Jones goes, I don't really like that fight, I don't really want it. Canelo goes, I don't like that fight, I don't really want it. But if you pay me enough, fuck it, I'll do it. It's fuck me money, fuck you money.
That's it.
And I think that's what Tash has been given.
So she just wouldn't turn it down for the money.
You just don't turn it down. No. Don't get me wrong. Canelo goes in the ring, Bellew, he knows, he thinks he's going to win. And when Tom Aspinall goes in the ring, or John Jones, he thinks he's going to beat Tom Aspinall. He agrees it's a really hard fight, and you know, this is the nemesis in the division. But they faced him. Because I'm getting paid mega money.
Exactly.
It's gone on for years and years in boxing. It's just that it gets these mega fights. It's like when Floyd Mayweather didn't fight Antonio Margarito. Don't need that. Don't like that fight.
Doesn't affect my reputation.
No, doesn't it? So you know what? I'll just face Shane Mosley instead.
Yeah. You've got to make wise decisions in boxing as well.
Of course.
I
think it's about the decisions you make. Your manager's got to be looking out for you. And Tash should be getting big money.
Yeah, deservedly so though. She's earned the right to
she's earned that right 100%.
Royal Albert Hall as well, what a venue.
I hope she can get it done. Yeah. But it is a hard night to work because Lauren Price is the younger fighter. Similar to Tasha, has that pedigree from the amateurs. And it's a really hard one.
Yeah, tough one. Will you be there for that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, should be a great card. We've got Caroline Dubois as well on that card. Chloe Watson. It's a good night for women's boxing all round.
It is. I'd say the girls do a really good job. Yeah. It'll be good to watch on the night, but I'm just hoping Tash can use her experience to get round the ring and you know, kind of use it against Lauren Price.
Take it the distance and
just
on points.
Hopefully that's what I'm hoping for with Tash. Out of the two of them, Tash is the puncher.
Yeah, no doubt.
So make no mistake about that. But at the same time, all the momentum and all the pace goes with Lauren Price.
We shall see. All right, let's leave it there. Another enthralling interview, I'm sure you'll agree.